Flintlocks, frozen boots, brutal weather, massive country, and big herds of elk. Just a few reasons I love the late seasons.
Alright guys, it is late season muzzleloader elk time. This is the hunt we've done for the last couple of years. We got in kind of late last night and got camp set up. So the weather is relatively mild for this country anyway, this time of year. Not calling for anything super crazy. But there's a little bit of snow. I think we're just going to get out this morning and try to kind of get our bearings and see if we can find some elk. I think it's going to turn out to be a beautiful day.
Elk are very much matriarchally organized, the old cows dictating where the herd feeds, beds, and spends their time. Some of these older cows have seen over 20 winters, with hunting seasons coming and going. They know how to choose their feeding and bedding areas, their travel routes, to avoid predators both two-legged and four. And that can make it incredibly difficult to approach within muzzleloader range. But before we worry about that, we first have to find them.
So we've got eyes on the first elk of the trip. Just saw him and now I can't find him again. I have to find him and then get the scope on them to make sure they're cows. This is a cow-only hunt, so bulls won't do. But I'm pretty sure they're cows because they're down low. Usually those bulls, this time of year, the bigger bulls anyway, will be in bachelor groups way up high, and the cows will be down low. Sometimes you'll find smaller bulls, spikes, and little raghorns with the cows. It's like a big old fat cow to me. Fatty. There was another one I saw too. Oh, there she is. Two cows that I can see. Sometimes you get these big herds that lay up on these ridges and there'll be 50, 60, 70 animals, and that's a lot of eyeballs watching. Something like that though, if we can put them to bed, mark them really good, then you got a good chance of getting close to them. Put my disc gloves back on.
Alright, so it's about mid-morning, day one. We're going to go after those elk that we saw. So we came around this ridge that they're on, so we're on the back side. So we're just going to go up Little Finger Ridge and pop out on top. It's a bit foggy, so it might make it hard to find them, but hopefully we can kind of just look down in there to where they were and find them bedded. That's going to be best case scenario, and then just try to figure out what our game plan is from there. It's wide open country, not a lot of cover, and so it can make it difficult to get within range of them, but we got eyes on elk, so that's a good thing for first day. Got a bit of a hike ahead of us. I enjoy all kinds of hunting, but it's primitive weapons that are nearest my heart. Longbows, recurves, and old school muzzleloaders. It's partially nostalgia, the conjuring of images reminiscent of a time when a man could wander off into the hills with just a rifle and what's on his back to make a living from his own knowledge, skills, and grit. It's partially the craftsmanship and aesthetics, an appreciation for the skills involved in creating functional and beautiful art, with a touch of its creator embedded within. It's partially the challenge that these weapons present.
I missed. Had a pretty significant hang fire.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's partially that these weapons demand a more intimate relationship to every aspect of the hunt, from the weapon itself to the animals and the country they inhabit. But I suppose that all that could boil down to the fact that primitive weapons are just undeniably cool. This is my last chance to notch my elk tag and put a couple 100 pounds of elk meat in the freezer. And elk meat is something that I and my family depend upon.
Alright, so we're, I don't know, a quarter of the way or so to where I wanted to be, which is up on this ridge behind me, but looks like there's a bunch of tracks coming across here. Looks like a pretty good herd came through here. Maybe yesterday, but it depends on how much snow they've gotten recently. We just got here, so I don't know what the weather conditions have been like. But I don't see any boot tracks up here. Haven't seen any sign of people. So if they haven't been disturbed, there's a good chance that they're still on this ridge somewhere. So we'll just keep on going. We're gonna head up to this ridge, look over the other side, see if we can find those cows bedded somewhere. And then when we're up there, we should be in a good position to glass a bunch of this country. If this snow will let off a little bit, it's going to be really difficult to glass anything. But if we can find elk, it'll likely work to our benefit, because less visibility to us is also less visibility to the elk. So if you can find them, it's not a bad thing. Starting to get up here where we can see some country. Looking over here across this ridge, there is a massive swath of elk tracks coming over this ridge and then up this way. You remember that scene in Dances with Wolves when Dunbar found the buffalo tracks and he's like,
a gigantic swath of torn up ground extending to the horizon. The sheer numbers it took to create this impossible image was hard to imagine.
That's what this elk trail reminds me of. And so I think we're gonna find a giant herd of elk on this ridge somewhere up into this country. But before we go over there, I just want to look around down into this basin just to make sure we're not passing up elk. But I mean, that's a huge herd of elk, or actually probably two herds. It looks like they came together right in here. It's a piece of like surgical tubing, but it's actually spear gun band or pole spear band. Comes in real handy. You know, a lot of times you go on hunts and the challenge is just finding the animals. That's not the challenge on this hunt. They're not really that hard to find because they get in big herds. They bed and they feed in the open snow cover. I mean, they're not hard to find, not hard to see. The challenge for this one, number one, is it's huge country, and so you might see them, but they might be 5 miles away. And number two is it's open country, and so getting to within 100 yards in this, I mean, you see the cover that we have, can be a bit of a challenge. And so a lot of times you just end up using the topography. You know, there's no trees, there's no brush to get in, so you just try to wait and find them kind of close to a ridge top and come around the backside and
come in on top of them ideally. You find them on a big, wide open slope, and there's no way to approach them really. So those cows that we saw earlier should just be, we'll have to take this ridge around, kind of maybe on the other side of that little knob there, those rocks. Just want to kind of walk over here and glass back that way before we head over there. Could be elk anywhere on this ridge though. So we just found them just over this. There's a big herd. There's probably 100 critters over there. And I think they're within range of the ridge, so we're gonna have to go back this way, go around the other side of that ridge and pop over. So we're making a big circle around these elk just to keep a bit of topography between us, keep that ridge between us. We're gonna come up the backside and just creep up over that ridge, and hopefully we can get up on top of elk bump. So we should be just above them, hopefully. So ideally, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna slide up over that hill, and they're gonna be right there about 80 yards, and I'm gonna shoot one. Or we could go up there and they might be 180 yards, and then I gotta lay around in the snow for 5 hours waiting on them to get up. Or we just blow them all out. One of three options. But I'm gonna go ahead and just put some clothes on just in case I do have to lay there for a while. But they shouldn't be, I can smell them like they're not far. Should be just on the other side of this real ridge here. That's too far. It's like 200. Yeah, 215. 200 yards. 250. Too far. Gotta get closer. These elk are, they're right there, but they're still too far, 200 yards, and that's just, it's too far. We're gonna have to circle around them and see if we can get up above them and try to cut them off, try to get in front of them. just now getting to the top of the ridge. I think they're gonna be just off the other side. Whether or not they're within range is who knows. Anybody's guess.
heard a hit.
I love it. Weather here can change like in a matter of minutes. It goes from like beautiful sunny day to this, and if you're not prepared for it and you're out here way away from the truck, it could be a bad deal for you. But anyway, we got an elk down. It's gonna be an easy pack back to camp, and I am freaking happy. I am happy. That's this is the quickest elk hunt I've ever been on in my entire life. A couple years ago, I shot a cow during archery season. I shot her on like day 2 or something, day 3. But first morning, first day, elk down, tenderloins. Let's do it. Easy pack. Nice big cow. So I've never drug an elk out anywhere because they're really heavy, but we're on a steep slope. Good snow cover. I think I can slide her pretty good ways. See how it works. So we got this cow all the way to the road. It was shortest elk hunt I've ever been on, and probably the easiest pack I've ever had, because she just slid. I mean, a lot of times she was outrunning us. We just drag her all the way back to camp. Not that far. I love these late seasons. I love hunting elk in the rut, man, but it's nothing quite like these late seasons where there's just elk. You gotta search and search and search and search and search during September to find them. This time of year, it's just like they're pretty obvious, but hard to get close to. This cow elk will yield nearly 200 pounds of free-range, organic, cellophane-free wild meat. Just one of the many reasons why living the hunting lifestyle is the healthiest way to go. We're going to pull this tongue out. You got to come in from the bottom and then just go along each side of the inside of the jaws. That doesn't look very appetizing, but it's actually really good. We'll cook this up later back home. I hope y'all enjoyed that one, and if you're not subscribed, I hope you'll consider doing so, because we've got more Flintlock action on the way. On the next hunt, I'll be joined by my good friend Xander Budnick, who some of you may know from his very popular YouTube channel. Xander is relatively new to hunting, and he has yet to take a big game animal, so we're going to get him out here in the woods with a whitetail tag in his pocket and put a flintlock in his hand.
Oh, you almost got it in the door.